man's hand, Mr. Wick.
Dead man's hand, Mr. Wick. When I comment about that on YouTube and I mention how the cards laid out in John Wick 4 are the 2 aces, the 2 eights, and the Queen of Hearts, and the aces can be 11 plus 11, 22, so it matches with Trump, text 88022 for Trump, and I said when you put Dead Man's Hand in the gematria calculator, it tells you Antichrist revealed. Yeah, and they delete my comment like within 20 seconds, and I got a notice telling me it was like spam and false information, and I thought the media hated Trump. So here we are, the Dead Man's Hand, September 11. Talked about that 9/11 programming and like the Antichrist revealed. They don't want you to know that. Their little gematria code. But, you know, there's more I spoke about in the last video on it with the Jesus INRI code. And, but what I want you to see is the next scene, because you're gonna see the guy put his hand down as he's saying a word, and he's gonna be pointing his finger.
Onion root themselves. That's what's on your slice right now. Okay, so separate and label them into the phases of mitosis. And the first partners that get it right are going to win. Oh, the golden onion.
So, mitosis as he touches the table, pointing at her. And what do we get when we add that in here? I am the rose. Remember Snow White? How that begins with that rose, and kind of makes me think of Isaiah 28. Woe to the crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, a flower fading of the glory of its beauty at the head of rich valleys, those overcome with wine. Look, Adonai has a mighty one, immensely strong, like a tempest of hail, a destroying storm. Like a flood of mighty waters overflowing with a hand, he will hurl it to the ground. The crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, will be trodden under feet. Those drunkards are the ones that do the killing. Ephraim of the promise, and the magnificent beauty at the head of the rich valley will become a fading flower, like the early fig before the summer that an observer sees while it's still in his hand, and he swallows it. So look, it just kind of makes me think something I'm considering when you go to Isaiah 49 here. So I've talked about this in one of my Joseph videos, and I went over this chapter, but in verse 2, and he made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand he hid me, and he made me into a polished arrow, and in his quiver he has hidden me. And he said to me, look, this is twice hidden. He hid me, hidden. Maybe that's, for the king and queen.
Once upon a time.
And we know they're both of the tribe of Ephraim,
A queen was
or Joseph at least.
When she saw a rose blooming in defiance
I am the rose, remember?
reaching for it, she pricked her finger.
So remember that mitosis, I am the rose, and then, first one to get it wins the golden onion. So put the golden onion in here, and let's see, you got the star child, and we see stuff like David's star and Star of David if you watch the other videos. But look right here, the ace of spades. The ace of spades. Remember Dead Man's Hand, Mr. Wick? So funny they got an ace of spades at the top of those cards from that John Wick video. And if you remember that Dead Man's Hand, Mr. Wick, and if you saw my last video, I did that little decode with the with that V code and the decoding of the Jesus INRI, and how she had the V on the back of her neck in that movie. And it's kind of funny though how it's on here with the Ace of Spades from the Golden Onion. And I made a connection with the 9/11 on that in the last video, and how it's kind of like a ritual of the king and queen, those two towers going down. Because then you watch the Constantine video, and where that guy's going in there with the spear of destiny to where she was killed, and you know she has a twin in that, and on each side of that building where she was killed, there's a flagpole, and Jesus talked about a sign being seen, the seraphim on the pole, or the snake on the pole, and that's that word in the Old Testament that also gets translated the seraphim. And I go deeper into that in other videos, but when you get down here, look at that. The Golden Onion, the royal lineage.
My mom stayed home with me, but I knew it made her unhappy, so...
So you see that she was holding on to the Golden Onion. Are they trying to say, you know, she's a royal lineage, how that matches up in gematria? But, you know, at least it's, you know, it's pointing towards the fact that there is a queen, and the Bible speaks of a queen in Psalm 45, and it's hidden in other spots. But since I've done some of these Twilight videos and all that, like when I was on my Chrome just searching, like going to actually search something, it was in a suggested article a little while back, and I just I screenshotted it. I was gonna share it, but then I thought, well, nah, I don't really think there's really much to it. But I saved the screenshot, and because what I found strange was they were talking about like a anniversary of it coming, and of Twilight, and it was gonna be released November 14th. But instead of writing November 14th, they put November 14 and they highlighted it. So I figured I'd put that November 14 in the gematria, but I didn't put November 14th, like, you know, naturally you would say it, but November 14, because that's how they wrote it. And so I got some interesting stuff as I get down here, but you gotta get down to the simple English and simple. Right there, highest twin flame. You always hear him talking about that twin flame, and that's gonna take us into the movie Constantine. And look, and I noticed this too just now. Tip of copper spear, kind of like that little spear destiny thing in Constantine.
How's the blood of God's only son?
Stains on the spear.
Yeah.
So he gets the spear. He still has to locate a powerful psychic.
Not really.
Twins.
August 13th.
Yeah. It's a month before my birthday. I don't need to be another year older than you. Alice said she could get the wedding together by then.
So August 13th, Spear of Destiny. What the? Pretty crazy, huh? And, you know, I've talked about how, you know, he's that type and shadow of David, and, you know, how she's the queen in the movies, and you get the Spear of Destiny, that connecting with the Constantine, and gosh, what else? She is so crushing on the M. That was searched 188 times. That seems kind of weird. Like I could see like something more immature, like she's so crushing on the D, but like the M. Are they trying to be code for Messiah? You know, because he's that type in shadow. I don't know. Kind of suspect, don't you think? And you got right here Lady in the Trump, because you know how Trump is the Queen of Hearts, and Snow White is in the North Tower captured. And I'll talk a little more on that. But Saint Joseph, you know, the lineage of Joseph, because you know the Queen has to be. And you know how she said, "Oh, and the stupid lamb," and that equals white rabbit. And I'll show you something about that, but you'll see what I mean in just a minute. You know, and they got chosen messenger of God, and look what else we got down here. Just get down a little bit farther. Divine right to rule, because you know of the lineage of Joseph. Think that could have something to do with it, the little secret, the little decode. Just to show that stupid lamb, in case you know you didn't watch the last video. But when you get down to the simple, the top one is white rabbit, and it's kind of funny too, because I'm gonna just kind of come back here quick. So we're talking about, you know, that divine right to rule, the August 13, and then I saw I'm sure a lamb lifting that. Could it be a stupid lamb, maybe? You know, the white rabbit, and you know, Lady in the Trump, as it says up here. See, Lady in the Trump from August 13th, Gematria. But you see how he's there with the white rabbit? You see that in a lot of Q stuff, where they're always mentioning Snow White in their videos and those Q drops, and they talk about that white rabbit, and they say that tippy top, and yeah, maybe it's a little more sinister than that, you know, that they have the queen. You know, who knows? Anything is possible, you know. Anyone that's a believer knows that with God anything's possible. Why, you know, nothing should be out of the ordinary, really. Anything can happen. But then the next scene, I'll just show you like what I showed in the last video, that because what they were talking about on the August 13th was their wedding, and then I kind of showed this clip in my last video. So that song was Flightless Bird, American Mouth by Iron and Wine. And I kind of went over this too in the other video when I showed it, and because I thought, well, let's go look at the lyrics. And you know, I had that blood of Christ, mountain stream. You know, mountain can be king in the Bible, and then stream, you know, like a river stream, you see a line. So, you know, like the line of David, you know, line of Jesus. So that little predictive programming in there. And if you see like in Ezekiel, I think in the Gog and Magog chapters, he talks about, you know, putting words in their thoughts or something similar to that. So I could see how he could, you know, use an artist to sing something and have it purposely go on us, you know, into a movie. And because you know it's God's hand going in there, and it's really just one of those things where you know, his will will be done. You know, what he wants us to know, it will be revealed. And I just thought, I was thinking about the video, you know, like the next day after or actually not the next day, but that night actually at work after I shared it. But I was thinking that, have I found any flightless bird or lost you? It had me really thinking of my very first childhood memory I had. But also, I remembered that there was actually a clip in Snow White from when she was a little child in there. And so I'm going to go to that, and then I'll tell you a little more about it. But
And she was adored throughout the kingdom, as much for her defying spirit as for her beauty.
So her carrying that bird, it reminds me of my first childhood memory. You know, it's kind of a magical time when you first realize you're alive and you got your consciousness. You don't know about death or any of that. And you know, I remember in front of me was a white garage. I was just looking there, and you know, I was just happy for whatever reason. The sun was shining. It was springtime, and I remember going around the garage, and I found a little flightless bird. It was a little baby without his parents, and I picked it up, and I wanted to keep it, and I ended up putting it in a cage, a little bird cage, and you know, I tried talking, you know, my mom into letting me keep it, but yeah, we had to let the bird go because, you know, we couldn't keep it, and she thought, well, it's just gonna die because, you know, we touched it and its parents won't take it back. But it kind of makes me think of that Flightless Bird song again too, like, have I found you, flightless bird, or have I lost you? You know, I always wondered, like, is that bird dead afterwards? But it's just kind of strange, you know, because you know how it says in the Bible, Yahweh tells the end from the beginning, and kind of makes me think like the end of my days are coming soon, which, you know, whatever it would be, you know, who is resisting the will of Yahweh? I certainly ain't. I mean, if I did, I would not be doing these videos. Sometimes I don't want to, but it's His will that I want done, so I do them, and I have to follow the visions I get and share them. Because I mean, who is resisting His will?
We found it in the woods. It's injured, Mother.
Must have broken its wing. Don't worry, it will heal in time.
I'll look after it.
You possess rare beauty, my love. In here. Never lose it. It will serve you well when you become queen.